YouTube, the crime dog, and welcome to a special edition episode to celebrate 100 subs. Sounds kind of silly, 100 subs, but here we are. It's been a couple weeks, guys, maybe even a month by the time I put this video out, and I am not meeting any of the timelines or deadlines I thought I was gonna meet when I was doing all this. Yeah, it's been a interesting few weeks in my personal life and also in my computer life. So in my computer life, what I mean by that is the streaming life we have going on. I had a few videos actually recorded and ready. I recorded Doom. It damn near bricked my computer. I recorded Atomfall episode 2 and realized that it's kind of dull and I don't know if I want to even release it. Well, I can't anymore, and I'll get to that in a second. But it wasn't very interesting. The first episode was cool because it was a step into a new world, but I really recommend people to check that out on their own. It's a lot more fun, honestly, if you check it out on your own instead of watching me play it. It's enjoyable and I had some fun moments with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. But Atomfall is done for the time being. The last video I made was a 100 sub video, so I actually did this already, like what I'm doing right now, but it went way too long. It was 53 minutes long. Yeah, I could talk a lot. If I can get going and my mouth starts running, sometimes I just don't know when to shut up. I'm kind of redoing it for multiple reasons. I was actually halfway through editing it. When I saved my video, I got to the home screen of my computer and it was just frozen. It was just a spinning blue bar, and I wasn't sure what that was about. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get to the bar at the bottom of my computer. So I tried to get down there, couldn't figure anything out. So I hard reset it. Pretty much just held the power button at the top of my PC. I tried to turn my computer back on and it wasn't working anymore. It just was, it got to like the BIOS screen at the beginning and then it just spun. So I took it to a place called eTech Computers in Lakewood, Ohio, and the guy is always taking care of like my consoles and stuff. So he got it back up and running again. Long story short, it was well worth the money. He actually gave me 4 terabytes on this computer, which is 4 times the amount that I had before. So I have a lot more storage than I once did too. So all my editing stuff is probably going to get dumped onto that piece because I was having issues with storage. The editing software I was using was saving the backup files and offloading them into some hidden folder I couldn't locate. And every time I uploaded it, it would eat up more of the storage on my computer to the point where I only had 30 gigs free. So it was hard to even upload videos. It kept failing and failing and failing. So, you know, I pretty much just deleted everything on my computer. My brother came by and showed me how to get rid of the hidden uploads, which I still have no clue. But no, I'm using different software now. I am now going to be using OBS Studio for my screen recording because Bandicam, that was a problem with Doom. With Bandicam, it says it may not work, and I think that may have caused this whole issue that I was having with the computer kind of breaking, to be honest with you. So I'm using OBS and I'm also using Adobe to edit. So it may take a little while. So if it's June 6th right now. I like being honest. It's June 6th right now when I'm making this video. It is very, very late at nighttime. I look kind of tired, maybe open my eyes a little bit. No, I don't want to try to, I'm not trying to scare y'all. This isn't a horror movie, okay? I know I'm scary and ugly, but it's not a horror movie. I promise. Anyways, so what I want to do for this celebration of 100 subs is I'd like to talk about gaming, because that's what I'm primarily going to do on this channel, is play games, right? I set this stuff up just because it was in front of me. It's a in the box GoldenEye. It is no longer sealed because I just like to open things, but this is a GoldenEye copy right here, full in box with the manual and everything that you needed with that. I want to give you guys an opportunity to chime in as well, but I'm going to talk about games in my life that were impactful. I'm going to start at the NES and work my way up, and I will probably stop around the PS2. For the NES, let's start at my very beginning. That was my first core memory of gaming, was with that. Now, when I name a game, I will allow the series to be a part of the conversation. So if I say, for example, because this is one of them, is Zelda. Funny enough, it was actually Zelda 2, which is notoriously the strange one of the two on the NES. There was the first one with the overhead view, and you walked around and you did all that, and that was what kind of introduced that style of gaming, or that style of game I should say, to the series. Zelda 2 took a weird turn. It's weird because a lot of the NES games, part 2 was a little off from their first. Castlevania 2, very different from Castlevania 1. Castlevania 3 was more like part 1, and part 2 was just odd. Super Mario 2, very strange compared to Super Mario 1 and Super Mario 3. Very different. Zelda 1 and 2. 2 was very, very strange. I don't know what they were going for on that. So, but Zelda was, I'm going to pick 3 games from each system. I'm not going to name Mario. Not that I didn't like Mario, but I feel like that's cliche, and I'd like to add a little more flavor to it. So you got the Zelda. I'm in no particular order, by the way. I'm going to definitely say that. I'm going Contra, and then I'm going to go Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I can give you stories, but that's why the last video took 52 minutes and it ended up breaking my computer because I talked too much. So I'm going to move forward, okay? The next system that I personally played was the Sega Genesis. Now, the Genesis had a few games that, you know, were kind of near and dear to my own heart and things that I enjoyed. And, you know, not everybody's on the same page with me as this, but one of my favorite games on the Sega Genesis was General Chaos. I don't know if you know what that is. You pretty much, you can pick certain soldiers or certain crews you want to use, and you kind of throw them on the battlefield. It's like a tactical game almost, but it was the first kind of game I played like that. Tons of fun. Another game I'm going to pick, funny enough, is another Contra Hard Corps. I played this for a good 25 years of my life. Maybe not consistently every day, but you know, I would always go away from it and come back to it because it was just something about the action of Contra that really gets your blood boiling. It makes your eyes bloodshot red. You get hot, sweaty, itchy. Pause. It's not that. No, that's not that bad. I don't have to pause that. You get it. You get in your feels playing Contra. And this one was actually on 2 different systems, as in the Super Nintendo, and it was also on the Sega Genesis. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I personally have the hard shell copy of Zombies Ate My Neighbors. So those would be my 3 from the Sega Genesis. Moving on to the Super Nintendo. Now this is challenging because there's a lot of honorable mentions on this, but if I have to go off the top of my head and just name stuff, right? Stuff from my childhood, stuff that sticks out. Now this is kind of cliche, but it's Zelda, Super Mario RPG, and this is easy for the guy that was the best man at my wedding. I don't even have to say anything, but Donkey Kong Country. I still play Donkey Kong Countries up until this day. Those first 3 for the Super Nintendo, which I plan on having on this channel at some point, but those first 3 for the Super Nintendo are just classic co-op experience. Music is incredible. The graphics for its time were so awesome. You know, you look at it now, it may look rough on the eyes, but to be honest with you, when you're a kid and seeing stuff like that for the first time, you got to go from Zelda 2, like the Nintendo graphics, and then the Super Nintendo. The advancement was just crazy for somebody my age. You know, another thing is kids from the mid 80s, like myself, you know, we pretty much grew up with this stuff in a sense that we're watching the evolution of this. We're the first generation to actually experience this all the way through, right? To where we're at now. Now there's literal virtual reality. I remember that Richie Rich? No, that's not what it's called. Whoever first, it was Sinbad and the president's son, and he was playing the virtual reality in the mall. We thought, oh, this kid's rich, he has so much money. That shit is real now. That you can actually put on, I'm missing one of my controllers, but I have one of those MetaQuest things. I'm missing one of the nunchucks, right? The boxing thing, when I turned it on, it's not scary at all, but it's terrifying. Because it feels like you're in the game, like you're actually looking at people and they're staring at you. It's kind of a weird dynamic. So those are my Super Nintendo 3, would be Zelda, Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario RPG. Those would be my 3 from that. Moving on, the Saturn, I didn't play much of the Saturn. There was a Sonic game I played on there, wasn't really interested in it. I didn't play really anything. I played Nights into Dreams, that was really fun, so I guess I can throw that on my list. Going to the Sony PlayStation, this is when like more mature games were introduced to me, and I'll just name, you know, the one that is still games being made to this day is Resident Evil. You know, that whole, well, they have more than 3, but the 3 main games for the PlayStation, Resident Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Something I played religiously, countless hours, to get the infinite ammo, get the things to pretty much breeze through the game after you struggled and worked so hard to get to, to that point. So Resident Evil is one of them for sure. The Final Fantasy series on the PlayStation. Shout out to the ones on the Super Nintendo. I played those too. I was probably a little too young to really like those and understand. Mario RPG hit for me because it was Mario. It was more for a 8-year-old like I was when I was playing that game. But Final Fantasies, those were timeless, incredible experiences. Like I have nothing but good things to say about that. And then last but not least, and I played this late, this came out like 20 years after I had finally played it, was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. If you're looking for music in a video game, Symphony of the Night is a masterpiece. And it's also a very fun game. So if you're into Castlevanias and stuff like that, the Netflix show was pretty cool. I don't know what I'm pointing at, but you get it, right? But that was an incredible game. Shout out to Silent Hill, shout out to Metal Gear Solid, and shout out, and this is weird, but Grand Theft Auto. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I had 2 Grand Theft Autos actually before the popular ones, and it was for the regular PlayStation. It wasn't the same experience, right? So going to the 64, and this is also challenging, right? This is very tough for me because I liked a lot of different games on the 64. One of them is right there, GoldenEye. This thing was like the first item. My dad was a big James Bond fan, so he wanted to buy this game because he still liked to get into the games. I actually want to rewind. Speaking of movies and games, the Star Wars series, episode 4, 5, and 6 for the Super Nintendo, the side scrollers, big shout out to them. I haven't forgot about you. All right, let's fast forward. All right, so GoldenEye, my dad wanted to get it. We couldn't find this thing anywhere. It was like sold out everywhere. Everybody was buying it. It was a huge hit like when it came out, and rightfully so. It there was Doom, there was Wolfenstein, there's these first person shooters that obviously set the bar, but GoldenEye kind of took it and run with it. I'm just gonna fuck some words up. That's just what I'm gonna do. GoldenEye took that and revolutionized what that was and turned it to what it is. So I definitely have to give the nod to GoldenEye. Another one would be Super Mario 64. And if you look right above the Mass Effect box, you can see Super Mario 64 was a big time hit for me as well. My grandmother was actually the first one in our family to play it. She bought the 64 for the grandkids, but she said, I want to play it and see what this is like. So she climbed up that little hill, got to King Bomb, and she got bodied by King Bomb. She wasn't very good at it, but she just wanted to give it a try. Respect to Granny, right? So we got GoldenEye, we got Super Mario 64, and then here's where things get dicey, because there's so many different ways I can go with this. I have so many different memories from so many different games. I'm probably going to go, it's tough. So I'm gonna go, let's go Diddy Kong Racing for the last one. The story mode co-op was just a fun time. They really get your blood boiling. Let's move on to the Dreamcast. Now the Dreamcast was something I never sold any of my systems, but for some reason I always either gave away my Dreamcast or sold my Dreamcast. I am going to name one game that just stands above them all in my opinion, and it was Shenmue. Shenmue was insanely advanced for the time it came out. Shenmue 1 came out for the Dreamcast in 99. Shenmue 2 came out for the OG Xbox in 2002. After 17 years, Shenmue 3 came out in 2019 for the PS4. So it skipped, what would that be? So you had OG Xbox, which was like the PS2. So no PS3. It got 3 generations later to finally get a port. That's like on the border of PS5. So about 2.5, because it was near the end of the PS4's life when it came out. But no, this game was insane. It didn't really do well because it wasn't marketed, in my opinion, that well. It stood out to me because I was a big story-driven gamer. I loved those games with stories, and it was about a kid trying to find his father's killer, and they showed it in the, they didn't show the dad dying, but they pretty much You're looking for the murderer of your father. You watched your father get murdered by this kung fu god in your own dojo. So you have to go around, investigate, you have to go into the town, get clues, and it takes you on this wild ride. Now, while doing this, the NPCs throughout the entire city, they all have schedules and jobs, and there's an actual time system. You have a curfew, you have an alarm clock that wakes you up in the morning. There's an arcade you can go to the stores, you can go to vending machines. Mind you, this is 1999. This Dreamcast, if you turn this game on now, it makes all sorts of crazy noises. It don't know how to act. So Shenmue is still my favorite game of all time. I have never experienced anything where as worthy as that in like the same way Shenmue was. I had to play that. My friend across the street had the game. Like when it came out, we were addicted. Part 2 came out, we were addicted for the Xbox. We were literally freaks about it. So much so that I had to save money because my dad, didn't want to buy a Dreamcast. He wasn't really a gamer, and we weren't the type to get it right away. We would get the stuff eventually, but after it died down or went on sale. But no, I saved my money to buy a Dreamcast and specifically to get Shenmue. That game holds a special place in my heart. So there's other games obviously after that, like the PlayStation 2. I have a lot of memories on PS2 games, like the Grand Theft Autos, Silent Hill 2. That was crazy. The OG Xbox with Halo, Simpsons Hit and Run. Those are nuts. You get to the 360 and forward, I had some of the best moments with my friends and brothers that I could ever ask for. So what I'm going to challenge you guys to do, and I'm doing better this time because there's only 20 minutes into the video, it's not 52 minutes. What I'm going to challenge you guys to do, in order to participate, you can participate, but in order to receive a special prize, and I am not going to disclose it right away because if it's one of you idiots I know already, then I'm going to give you something stupid like a hat or something. But if it's some stranger off of YouTube, I really I'm looking at like a gift card to a place that you're choosing, somewhere between 50 to 100 bucks. What I'd like you to do is to engage with the video. I am looking for comments. You have to be sub to the channel. I want your top 10 games. If I mess with your top 10 that you got on there, I'm gonna select a winner. If I mess with your top 10 games you have on there, I'm gonna select a winner at random. Pretty much if you bring up core memories for me, that's gonna give you brownie points, okay? So there's not really a drawing or anything like that. It's gonna be something where you hit the feels for me. Pause. You hit the feels for me, and I'm really going to, do something special for you guys. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna get back on the gaming here shortly. I'm hoping to get a game in before I leave and hopefully get it out on YouTube before I leave. Resident Evil Revelations 2 is a spoiler alert. That's the game that I'm probably gonna be playing. I played almost every single mainstream Resident Evil. I've never played the Revelations games. I'll probably never play the Dead Aim or Survivor or anything like that. That's not my cup of tea. But I'll play the Revelations games. So that's what's next for the channel. Like, subscribe, comment. 100 subs, guys. I didn't think I would get that type of support. I really appreciate the comments, the likes, the views, the watches. When I see people, they say that like, I watch YouTube because of you. I watch YouTube, you're fun. I'm brand new at this. I know I'm ass. See, y'all don't have to lie to me. I'm just trying to have fun. And eventually I plan on expanding this stuff a little bit and making it more enjoyable, but I have to know what I'm doing. So with that being said, let me go ahead and try to figure out this OBS studio. Let me go ahead and try to fix. Some things never change. Let me figure out this OBS studio. That's right? OBS studio, yep. And this Adobe Premiere Pro. That's the new software I'm using. And I really want to see if I can figure it out before I leave. Hopefully get this video out to you guys. If not, I guess y'all gonna see this more towards the end of June, and then hopefully we can get back on track again. I have a better idea of how to tackle this stuff now. I appreciate your guys' patience. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for the support I've received. Until next time, YouTube, peace.